Good evening to you, my dear brother and my dear sister. May the peace of the Lord be with you this evening, wherever you are and you find yourself. First Sunday of the month of July, and we are grateful for His word, which He constantly and daily nourishes us with. Beloved, today, during the first of the Gospel, Matthew chapter 11, verses 25 to 30, the last sentence, something striking, something happens in there that we need to also consider and reflect deeper on. Jesus says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. What is yoke? And how come that the yoke of Jesus is very easy? And on the other hand, other yokes are so heavy and other are difficult. So just let us go deeper to look into the meaning of a yoke. And understanding yoke, we need to understand those who used to farm in those days where they will have to plow the land. In plowing, something is done. Normally, when you don't have a tractor to plow the land or a field for you, in the olden days, the old practice used to be the fact that two oxen would be made available, and then a plow would be attached to this oxen by having a metal piece or a wood placed on the neck of the oxen. So on the neck of the oxen, they will have this metal or a beam, and then they will attach to it a plow, so that as the animals move along, it will pull through the soil to make it furrow so they can plant in it. So the plow is pulled through the field, and by so doing, furrowing the land so the farmer can plant. And because of the nature of this plow, this device, and because of the heavy nature of it, the wood must be strong. The wood must not break. And the wood must be heavy. So have this in mind. These things, characteristics are very important. 3, the wood should be strong, the wood should be heavy, and the wood should not break. And this wood attached to the neck of these oxen is what we mean by a yoke. In other words, a burden placed on the animal, a heavy load placed on the animal. So the device attached to this heavy wood for the animal to plow or to pull the plow through the ground to furrow the land so that we can plant. And this is what we mean by a yoke. So a heavy load, a heavy wood, a heavy metal placed on the neck of an oxen. So it should be heavy, as I mentioned earlier, and it should be strong, and it should not break. At the moment it breaks, it ceases to work and all that. Beloved, so Jesus says that my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So what Jesus is telling you and I is that, yes, some of the burdens are placed on us by Jesus himself. But whatever he places on us is not so heavy, but very, very light and not so difficult. So this is what Jesus says to us. If he places burdens on us, his burden is very, very light and very, very easy. The yoke is very easy for us to carry. So we can carry at any moment, anytime we find out wherever you go. On the other hand, some of the burdens we place on ourselves are so heavy that we need to let go. Remember, on plowing the land, the load is being put on by a person. So it's not the animal putting on the load on themselves, but it's a person who puts this load onto the animals, and then they will plow the field. And so, likewise, some of these burdens or some of these yokes, heavy load that we carry, are placed on us by our own selves and some by others. So we have individually, we put yokes on ourselves, we put burdens on ourselves, and also, as I mentioned, Jesus, by following him, we have burdens we need to go through because we are his followers. But most of his burdens are so easy. And my concentration this evening is on the fact that the burdens we put on ourselves. Remember, some will put this load on us, and we also will put these yokes on ourselves. And at times, it becomes so difficult for us to leave them behind. As a Christian, there are so many things we will carry, but individually, there's certain things we need to let go at this moment. We put so much on ourselves that At times we find it so difficult to be free. Let me give you an example. Somebody is hungry. Yes, he's hungry. There are two options. The person should work to have money, or otherwise the person should ask somebody for help. Another person will choose to steal. Now let me look at the person who steals. If the person steals and unlucky enough he is caught and beaten to the point that he's hurt, he has brought upon himself this kind of pain, hurt, and all that. This is the person bringing this hurt and this pain and this injury upon himself because he decided to go otherwise by stealing and not by asking. So you know that by so doing he has placed upon himself a burden, a heavy load upon himself. And this he did by his own calling, by his own choosing. So he chose to bring this yoke upon himself. Meanwhile, on the other hand, he could have decided to ask for help, beg for assistance, and definitely he will get. So some of the yokes that we face, some of the burdens we encounter are things we normally put on ourselves. And these are the things Jesus says that we should do away with them and then carry his own, because his own are easy to carry. His burden is light. He doesn't burden us. It doesn't make things so difficult for us that we cannot move along. There are so many things we are doing. We are bringing pain upon ourselves. We are bringing so much sickness upon ourselves. We are bringing so much, causing harm to ourselves. But instead of them letting it go, we don't. One of them has to do with anger, being angry. When you are angry, you cause your own self. At times, anger can cause your pressure to rise. Anger can disturb your own system and can cause depression here and there. But still, most of us, we choose to bring upon ourselves this burden of being angry at the least opportunity, at the least instance, and we are hurting ourselves. These are the burdens which are so heavy. Remember, they are heavy. They don't break easily. And again, they are strong. That at times it's difficult to let go. But we need God to come in to assist us and to strengthen us. So some of these things are self-inflicted. The yoke of anger upon our lives are self-inflicted. Again, envy. Somebody is doing well and you are so envious of the person. Somebody's contribution you are so envy, jealous of. Remember, I have mentioned somewhere before that even envy and anger at times rots our bones. But that's what we do. So when we are suffering in there, then we begin to cry to God for help. Somebody who speaks bad words to the children and all that, you begin to all the time cry foul, speak evil, pronounce evil words upon your children and all that at the least provocation. And when things begin to turn otherwise and begin to harm your family, then you start praying. Then but some of this adasuya we are talking about are self-placed, are self-inflicted. And so they are so heavy that we need to let go, and then God can direct our path. So Jesus in today's gospel shares with us that his yoke is very, very easy. His burden is so light that we wouldn't even feel when we decide to do. For instance, if we decide to obey his commandment, if we decide to obey his will, all that we need to do is to allow the Spirit to move within us. And so when you read carefully the second read, Romans chapter 8, we are told that when the Spirit is in us, we overcome the things of the flesh. And the things of the flesh, because we overcome through the Spirit, we live. On the other hand, when we allow the things of the flesh to control us, we die. And this is what happens. The Spirit comes in to enable us to live the burden or to live the yoke placed upon us because we are Christians. And remember, these burdens are light. They are not heavy. Any self-inflicted, any human yoke or burden is heavy to carry. I must tell you. I must share with you. A person who decides to acquire wealth by using other bad means, at the end of the day, begins to suffer because of so many rules established. Even we ourselves, the kind of laws and instructions we give to people, we overburden them. But God doesn't give those kind of instructions to people like that. Even at times we pastors, we put a lot of yoke on people, a lot of burden on people. Simple things we need people to understand, to repent from their sins. At times we begin to say a lot of things to people that we overburden them. And that is why we are not Jesus. But Jesus says that his yoke is just so easy and his burden is so light. So we have this call to live our yoke out there and carry the yoke of Jesus Christ. And what are the yoke of Jesus Christ that he wants you and I to carry? They are simple things. Let the Spirit move you, lead you, guide you. Romans chapter 8 says so. When we are led by the Spirit, we conquer the things of the flesh. The things of the flesh will put on ourselves, will put on us a yoke very difficult to carry. Will put on us a burden very difficult to even move about and to handle. But when we are not, He enables us to overcome the things of the flesh, which will become a burden unto us. And so, the first thing we need to do to carry the burden, the yoke on us, which is so light, is to have the Spirit within us, so that we can overcome the things of the flesh. It's very important, my dear brother, my dear sister. Example: if you remember, if you don't commit fornication, if you don't commit adultery, when you commit adultery, you lose your spirit. Some of the points in time, you lose your own self. But if you don't do this, when you let the Spirit lead you to overcome some of these things, you have life for yourself. You have life for yourself. You live so gratefully. You live so peacefully. So we need to understand this yoke, and you should know that some of the yokes are self-placed, self-inflicted. Some of the yokes are placed on us by others, and some of us, those of us who also put yokes on other people, we need to stop it. We need to make sure that we do away with such things, because at the end of the day, we are praying that we will enter heaven, the kingdom of God. That is what matters most, and not the fact that somebody is better than somebody or not. No. So first thing, be led by the Spirit. 2, the yoke He placed on us is to obey His commandments. We should obey His commandment. 3, we should forgive. 4, we should love each other. 5, we should worship Him. So this is the yoke Jesus offers to us. So which of His yokes are so difficult for us to do? Some will have to do by sacrifice. Yes, you're sacrificing for something which is good and something which is better. So just take some time and examine yourself to see the kind of burden you are going through, whether it's self-inflicted or it's otherwise. Just take some time and examine yourself to see that whether I'm carrying a load which I could easily do away with and have my own personal freedom. Just examine yourself and see that if today the choices I'm making will make me free or will burden me today or not. Some of them, most of them, not some, are self-inflicted. And the self-inflicted yokes are normally has to do with the things of the flesh that we fight daily in for. Beloved, yes, the yoke has to do with a load put on oxen, but we also human beings, we place upon ourselves some burdens which are so heavy to carry that we need to let go and follow Jesus. When we have this load, we cannot progress, we cannot do well. So we are called today to always make sure that we do away with the yoke which is associated with the human flesh, the things of the flesh. So when you read Galatians chapter 5, reading verses 16 onwards to 17, 19, we are told of the things of the flesh that we need to avoid and do away with. These things we need to look at it and do it, because remember, when you get involved with the things of the flesh, they bring upon you, or it brings upon you a burden which becomes so strong, which is difficult to break, which is so heavy to keep you moving. They stop you from flowing. That's why I said that the characteristics of a load of this yoke, you should put behind, you should note them. So a yoke must be heavy, a yoke must be strong, a yoke must not break. And so if you also we don't take care and do away with the things of flesh that burdens us and makes us so heavy that we cannot move, then we are not going anywhere. And that is why most of us, our things are not working as it should be. We are not progressing as we should have progressed. We are not moving forward as we should have moved forward, because of the things we carry, because of the things upon our shoulders. So let's know that the yoke of the things of the flesh are always very difficult and very, 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 very heavy. But the yoke of Jesus is always light, and they are simple. Be led by the Spirit. Be humble. Just love, forgive others, and worship Him, and things will move peacefully for you. So let's run to Jesus and ask Him that we should strengthen us to do away with the yokes that we are carrying, so that we can always be ready to carry or to move along whatever he wants us to do. So just as I've mentioned earlier, have some time and look at yourself. Your marriage that you find yourself, what kind of yoke have you placed upon yourself in the marriage you are in? Can you do things differently with the help of the Spirit? Can you have a different lifestyle, or can you improve with the things you do by the guidance of the Holy Spirit? These are the things you need to look at it and see how you can do. Remember, the yoke of Jesus is always easy. They are light. But the human yoke would definitely be heavy. The human yoke will definitely be heavy. Hey, I just saw anybody do so. Easy. It's not going to be easy, my dear brother, my dear sister. It's not going to be easy. But Jesus will never put on us a heavy load that we cannot carry. That one, for sure, you should know that. And it's true. The things we do brings a lot of consequences, and these consequences are the yokes that we carry today, the burdens we carried in, day out. When you do good, you have lesser load, lesser yoke with you. But when you do bad, the consequence of these bad actions become the yoke that you carry. I just say about that also, no? So we need to be careful, we need to look at it, and so that we can manage our life well, to always have the blessings from God. His load will never and ever be difficult. It will always be easy. It will always be light. Seek to carry the load of Jesus. Seek to have his yoke upon your life, and try to do away with the yokes brought about because of our human aspects, because of our choices, and because of about the things of the flesh. So just pay attention to it, and as we pray that ready, but this way in Africa, so no, when say I this be home so one or the other also, you can proclaim freedom for yourself with the assistance, with the grace of God. May God bless you, may God keep you, may God strengthen you. Let's examine ourselves carefully and know where the yoke you are carrying is coming from. Whether it's self-inflicted, whether it's somebody who has placed that yoke on us, or whether we are carrying the true yoke of Jesus Christ. Let's know them, so that we wouldn't carry any yoke just like that and overburden ourselves. God bless you and keep you today. Amen.